Okay, so on number 1 here, when it says which of these constructions would construct a line of reflection that takes it from point A to point B, what you're doing is you're going to have a point A and a point B, and you want to do some kind of line that's going to force it to be here. The part of the problem with these type questions is you can create one of these that works, but what it's saying is which one is going to work every single time. So on D, construct a line parallel to AB. And so if you take, let's use our patty paper here. If you take, here's point A, and here's point B, let's say, and then it wants it to be a line parallel to that. So we're going to say these are parallel. May not have drawn them very well, but if we reflect this line over a line that's parallel, you can tell, hopefully, that it's going to end up down here. And something I forgot to mention yesterday, sometimes you can like use your fingernail and scratch and it'll like transfer it. Not sure if you were aware of that. And so you can kind of fill in, here's A prime and here's B prime. And so obviously those are not the same. So it's definitely not going to be D. So that's part D. I'm going to work backwards. C, construct the line passing through A and B. So here's point A. Here's point B, let's say. And then if we go this way and we reflect it over that line, well, we talked about yesterday that the line is, if it's on the line, then it's not going to move. And so it's going to just reflect, and you're going to have the exact same figure. So A is going to become A prime, and B is going to become B prime. So they didn't move, but that's not what it asked. It asked to put A onto point B. So C does not work either. If it was wanting you to keep the figure or the point where it was, then yes, C would work. But C is just making A stay where it is and B stay where it is. Part B, or answer choice B, let's see if we can draw it. A line, okay, so we have segment A, B, and we are going to construct a line through point B that is also perpendicular. And so it's going to look like this. And so if we reflect it across this line, it's going to end up putting point A way over here. So point B is not going to move, and then A would end up way over here, which is not going to work. And so then that gets us to answer choice A, which the reason I did it last is because it is the correct answer. So if you have point A here and you have point B here, and it's a segment, and you create the perpendicular bisector. So y'all have been working on how to do that with the compass. I'm not going to go through that. I'm just going to draw it as best I can. And so perpendicular and bisector. So it's both of those. So these segments are the same. And if you reflect it across here, then if I drew it correctly, A should map exactly onto point B, which I may be a little bit off. But you can kind of see maybe through the patty paper that A and B are basically on top of each other. And so that is the one that's going to map A onto B. And so that's what you're looking for. If it had just said the perpendicular, or just a perpendicular without bisecting it, like part B said it was perpendicular and it went through point B. But if it had just said it was perpendicular, the problem with that, let me draw a little one here. You could make it perpendicular, but if it's not bisecting it as well, when you reflect it, it's just gonna be on the line segment. And so A prime would end up like right here, not where B is. So it has to be both perpendicular and bisecting to make it work. Okay. Number 2, so again, some of these, before going number 2, some of these you can make it work, but are you able to do what it says and not make it work? That's what you're trying to do on this type of question. Sometimes a question on the LEAP, they will do select all that apply, and that's an even harder type question. But good news is you sometimes can get points if you get, like if it's supposed to be on a select all that worked. If you get A and B and C and D and it's supposed to be A and B and you say it's just A, sometimes you can get points for that and sometimes not. So it just depends on the test. But you've got to make sure when it's a multiple choice that you're really careful that you try and make it not work given what it gives you. Okay, so now number 2, a point P is going to stay in the same location when it's reflected over line L. What can we conclude? Okay, so if L is our line of reflection and it stays in the same place, then the only option is for P to be on the line. And it can be anywhere on your line. It doesn't matter where. It just has to be on the line of reflection. So if you have a figure that is reflected and something stays the same, then it's actually on the line. Number 3,